When I looked at your record, you talk about big government and how opposed you are to it, but you seem to have a different attitude about your own congressional district. For example, the Congress decided to send billions of dollars to victims of Hurricane Katrina. Guess how Ron Paul voted? Quote, is bailing out our people that chose to live on the coastline a proper function of the federal government, he asked, and you said no. And yet this, Paul's current district, which includes Galveston and reaches into the Brazoria County, draws a substantial amount of federal flood insurance payments for your own congressional district. This is the Houston Chronicle. Representative Ron Paul has long crusaded against a big central government, but he also represented a congressional district that's consistently among the top in Texas in its reliance on dollars from Washington. In the first 9 months of the federal government's 2006 fiscal year, it received more than $4 billion. And they report, the Wall Street Journal, 65 earmarked targeted projects, $400 million, that you have put into congressional bills for your district, which leads us to the Congressional Quarterly, the earmark dossier of Dr. No. There isn't much that Dr. Ron Paul thinks the federal government should do. Apparently, though, earmarks for his district are okay. Paul is the sponsor of no fewer than 10 earmarks in the Water Resources Bill, all benefiting his district. The Gulf Intercoastal Waterway, $32 million. The sunken ship you want to remove from Freeport Harbor. The Bayou Navigation Channel. They talk about $8 million for shrimp fishermen.
Very much. Speaking of a lot of money, the battle about the money they're spending on Capitol Hill, and ironically, this guy is being targeted as maybe spending the most, or at least earmarking the most of his constituents. He says it isn't fair, but we thought it only fair to give him his due and explain what's going on. I'm talking about Texas Congressman, former presidential candidate Ron Paul. Congressman, the rap is that you're a porker, that a lot of pork, 73 million plus, went to your district. Is that true?
Well, it might be, but I think you're missing the whole point. I've never voted for an earmark, and I voted against all appropriation bills. So this whole thing about earmarks is totally misunderstood. Earmarks is the responsibility of the Congress. We should earmark even more. We should earmark every penny. So that's the principle that we have to follow, and the responsibility of the Congress. The whole idea that you vote against an earmark, you don't save a penny. That just goes to the administration, and they get to allocate the funds.
Who proposes the bridge or the highway or the school? How does that even get in there?
I have no idea, but the most important thing is to have transparency. If you don't earmark something, then somebody else spends it, and there's no transparency. So the principle of the earmark is very crucial, but we need more earmarks. The reason that we didn't have earmarks, on that $350 billion on TAR funds, we needed to earmark every single thing. We need to earmark every single thing the Fed does. So this whole thing,
No, I understand.
Charade,
but you know what? It just
charade.
strikes people as a little weird, Congressman, because you champion and rail against government waste, and I know you rejected and voted against this package, but yet your constituents are going to benefit to the tune of more than $73 million in various projects from this package. So it's kind of like you're having your cake and eating it too.
Neil, you're missing the whole point. The principle of the earmark is our responsibility. We're supposed to, it's like a tax credit. And I vote for all tax credits, no matter how silly they might seem. If I can give you any of your money back, I vote for it. So if I can give my district any money back, I encourage that. But because the budget is out of control, I haven't voted for an appropriation in years.
But would you argue then, sir, that when John McCain was here saying the whole earmark thing itself is what's out of control?
Oh, no, he totally misunderstands that. That's grandstanding. If you cut off all the earmarks, it would be 1% of the budget. But if you vote against all the earmarks, you don't cut one penny. That is what you have to listen to. We're talking about who has the responsibility, the Congress or the executive branch. I'm saying get it out of the hands of the executive branch. Just listen again about what I said about the TARP funds. We needed to earmark every penny. Now we gave them $350 billion.
No, you're right about that.
Nobody knows.
Are you saying then, Congressman, that the monies that you appropriated, whether for the Gulf Intercoastal Waterway, the Texas City Channel, Wellsville Lake, the City of Bay City Rehab Center, that's money in the aggregate that you would have called waste?
It's the kind I don't vote for because I don't think the federal government should be doing it. But if they're going to allot the money, I have a responsibility to represent my people. If they say, hey, look, put in a highway for the district, I put it in. I put in all their requests because I'm their representatives. But if you put an earmark for a bridge in Iraq, it's not called an earmark. If you build a military equipment
So you
in
don't think
somebody's
their
city,
requests are waste? You don't think their requests are waste?
well, no, it shouldn't be done. There's a better way to do it. But if you're going to spend the money, the Congress has the responsibility. It's better to spend it on a bridge here than spend it on a bridge in Iraq and blow it up and then build it up again. Those are the kind of earmarks they don't count. So you have to count. You have to look at the responsibility of the Congress to earmark every single penny.
Congressman, thank you very much. We'll have more after this.
The whole process is corrupt.
All right, let me ask you that.
I vote against everything.
But
I vote against it, so I don't endorse the system.
But when it passes overwhelmingly, you take the money back home.
I don't take it. That's the system. I'm trying to change that system. To turn it around and say I'm supporting the system, I find it rather ironic and
entertaining. Well, when you stop taking earmarks or putting earmarks in the spending bills, then I think you'll be consistent.